Before I get into today's video, I just want to say that there will be no video next week. John and I are trying to repair a small deck that is 35 years old and rotten, and it's pretty much taking all of our time. So we'll be back in 2 weeks after this video. And today's video is probably not for most of you. It's really for new people to RVing. It's not just for people who own a Pleasureway, which is the upfitter of our van. Anyone that has a van has the same kind of maintenance issues. There are lots of helpful tips for people who are new or relatively new to RVing, things that I wish we had known early on. And I hope it will help a lot of people now and also down the road. At the end of the video, Barbara Lynn shares some information about the owners group. So for those of you who own a Pleasureway, how you get into the owners group, and then how you can utilize some of the benefits that are there for just Pleasureway owners. My name is Debbie, and I'm here with Barbara Lynn Smith. We're at the Pleasureway rally. It was supposed to be the 20th anniversary. Now it's the 21st anniversary. And I'm kind of reshooting this because I forgot to turn on the audio. And Barbara Lynn is the technical advisor for the Pleasureway Club.
Yes.
But she is very active on the owners group, and you'll probably see her you pop up like on every single thing, don't you?
Yes,
you throw in your 2 cents on everything.
I'm on all the groups.
And you're correcting a lot of stuff that people say or whatever, and that's all volunteer, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It's just incredible. I can't imagine doing that much work. So we kind of created a list of things that the maintenance kind of stuff that people need to know, but also she's going to walk us through how to access the owners group on the internet and some of the features that are really helpful, and hopefully we will recapture what we talked about indoors. So the first thing let's talk about is some of the maintenance stuff. And what would you like to start with?
Well, let's start with some pretty basic stuff that's easy to get to inside, like your air conditioner. A lot of people may or may not realize that there's filters in there that need to get taken out, washed, cleaned, and put back. Make sure they're dry and stuff like that. There's usually two filters on the air conditioner.
How often do you recommend they do that?
Probably once a year or something like that, unless they're in some really dusty, dirty conditions that they need it. But it's easy enough to check. There's a couple little tabs or something like that. They slide out. It's real easy. Take a peek. If they look dirty, clean them. If they don't, put them back in and wait for another little bit and check them again.
Okay, great. Oh, there was another tip someone brought up about the speed.
Don't run your air conditioner on maximum cold temperature. If you do, in high humidity areas, make sure that you run the fan speed on high. Otherwise, it can freeze up. The air isn't moving over the fins fast enough. So if it goes too slow, it'll freeze up. So you want the air running fast. If you turn it off of the maximum a little bit, just turn it down. If you turn the dial a little bit on the numbers and stuff, you'll hear a click if you listen real closely. And that little click is a good indication of just beyond that click where you should put your temperature setting at, and then you're a little bit easier to run the fan speed at a little bit lower rate. You don't need to run it on high at that point. EMS is an electrical management system, is what it stands for. It is, people mistakenly call it a surge protector, although it is a surge protector, but it's a whole lot more than a surge protector. So it's got that capability. It checks for all the miswiring that you could possibly have to make dangerous conditions for you as well as your RV electronics. And it checks all those for you, and it will not let power through if any dangerous conditions exist. So if you've got miswired pedestals, if you've got 240 volts, for instance, if you have somebody come to your home and say, put in a 30 amp, you ask for a 30 amp receptacle, their normal thing is to put in a 240, which is a dryer receptacle, right? Well, that needs 240 volts, not 120. So if they mistakenly put in a 30 amp, 240 volt thing and you plug your van into it, goodbye electronics. It's going to totally fry it. So you want to have something that you make sure that dangerous conditions like that, whether it's dangerous to your vehicle or dangerous to you, open ground, open neutrals, reverse polarity, just some of the high voltage, which kills electronics, like I just mentioned, about 240 volts, but it doesn't have to be that high. But and low voltage will kill motors, like your AC, microwave, and all that sort of stuff.
And you could that could happen if you're like trying to run an extension cord to a 110 outlet, and
yes,
and the gauge isn't correct. Is that right?
Yes, if it's too long or too thin of a cord, and it's going forever, and you're trying to run too much on, called voltage drop and heat. By the time, even if you have 120 volts at the source, what you have in the van may be down to 104, something like that, and you're trying to run the air conditioner on that, you're going to fry your air conditioner motor. So it'll overheat and it'll just burn it out.
Okay, so 12 gauge.
12 gauge is a good recommendation. Heavy duty construction grade, I guess sometimes they're called, extension cord, and as short as you possibly can. If you can get a 30 amp RV extension cord, that would be perfect, because then you could get a 25 foot of that plus 25 foot of your regular cord will combine together for, of course, 50 feet. And you got 30 amp going that whole distance. So, and you can get those easily enough online or RV shops and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say that when we were up in my brother's this summer, we were running a very long extension cord. It was 12 gauge, but it was a bit long.
Yeah. Yeah, you just got to keep an eye. The best thing to do with that is you can get a voltage meter, an analog, or even a digital, but an analog little voltage meter that you plug into an outlet inside that you can monitor yourself, just check periodically. It's got red zone and green zones where it's good. As long as that needle is in the green zone, you're good. If it gets into the red zone, you know what you're getting in the van is what your appliances are seeing. So even if on the pedestal you see, or wherever it is, like on your outlet, source outlet, whatever it is, if you see, okay, I've got 115 volts, but you're running on an extension cord, that's what's over way out there. If you've got a 100-foot extension cord, that's not what you're getting in the van. That's not what your van is seeing. It's not what your appliances are seeing. That's what counts, not what's 100 feet away on a pole or in an outlet box.
That's a
sort
good
of
tip.
Thing. So I carry.
And then you'd also recommended the particular brand of EMS.
The EMS that I use and many others use that I recommend is the Progressive Industries PT30X is the model. It's a 30 amp EMS. Lifetime warranty on it. It runs through all the checks that you can possibly have in there. Takes about less than 2 minutes or so, but about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. While it runs through all of those safety checks. When it deems that everything is good and safe, it clicks on. You can hear a pretty audible click, and it lets power pass through. And the nice thing about it is it doesn't just do that. It continually monitors that connection. So if something happens, if you're at a huge campground, like we are now in the, for this particular event, and other ones are the same, if it's in the dead of heat, in August, and it's 120 degrees, and you've got, many hundreds of RVs all trying to run their air conditioners, that's going to bring the whole line voltage down, and you're going to start off with low voltage to begin with. Mm-hmm. So if that drops below a certain cutoff that they have, about 104 or 108 volts, something like that, that's in the specs, I can't remember off the top of my head, but some low voltage, it will it monitors that. If it gets too dangerously low, it cuts the power for you. It will not let you harm your appliances. Okay. It won't let the campground harm your appliances. Likewise, if it gets too high, if, say, they got lightning or something in the area, or there's some sort of weird thing going on and a surge happens and the voltage spikes up for whatever reason, it will also cut that off in real time. It can react so much faster. You would never, ever be able to react fast enough on your own for it to be able to run outside and disconnect the power before something happens.
Right.
It just happens in a split second. That takes care of it, and it monitors it for you in real life.
And you can't just trust the fact that it's a really nice campground with expensive amenities.
Apparently not. No.
Yeah.
I've heard stories that even nice campgrounds it just does.
Yeah.
No chances.
It came in handy for us last year in Utah. We had to go to 3 different pedestals before we found one that worked. And the camp owner, we haven't had any problems. It's like, no. I don't think so.
Right. And the other thing to note for that is if you do find yourself at a campsite where the 30 amp, which is what our size vans normally plug into, if that happens to be bad and the power does not pass through, try the 50 amp. Now to do that, you need to have a 50 to 30 amp adapter is what it's called, or sometimes it's a dog bone, sometimes it's one little compact unit that you can plug that into a 50 amp outlet. And maybe the 50 amp outlet is working better. Maybe it's wired properly, there's no issues. And that's the case, you can plug in there safely and use that outlet. If that too is messed up, then you could try the 20 amp outlet with, again, a 20 amp to 30 amp adapter, or 15 to 30. And see if that one's going. With that, you'll have limited options. It would be similar to running on your generator. So one appliance at a time, one big appliance at a time. So either air conditioner or microwave, not both, but you would have power.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if all else fails and you're not comfortable with either situation or you don't have those adapters with you, recommendation, get the adapters. Number 2, ask to change sites.
Yeah. And sometimes the park themselves sell those adapters. They often do.
Yeah. But the one thing that you don't ever want to do is do not ever circumvent that protection. Mm-hmm. If the EMS is not allowing power in there for whatever reason, if it's not allowing power through, don't unplug it and plug your cord directly in. Don't.
Even at home, don't.
Even at
home. You need to use the EMS.
Yeah. Use it anytime you plug into any outlet. And I mean, it may be good power at home, that's not a problem, but you want the monitoring because it may not be a dedicated outlet. There could be other things going on, and if it gets low voltage or anything else happens, you want that monitoring to also kill the power. And
I think the mistake that almost all of us have made when you're new, you end up getting a surge protector thinking it's going to do the same thing.
Right.
And the difference is the price. If it's over like $250, it's probably an EMS.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the things where you get what you pay for. Mm-hmm. So a surge protector is, I don't know, it's like $100 or something like that. It's not going to do the same things as the whole EMS is. That's your electrical management system rather than just a simple surge protector.
One of the things I just learned recently, and we've had our rig for 4 years, a friend pointed out that we need to use some kind of there's a gel or something you put in the toilet to make sure the seal stays fresh or whatever.
Right. There's a Thetford product that you can put down your toilet. I think they say about every time when you dump your tanks or something like that, just to keep maintaining your seals, your toilet flap seals, as well as your dump valves. It's supposed to lube those as well, so making it easier to pull the dump valve and slide it back in.
So you actually put some of this on the dump valve?
No, you put it down the toilet.
On the toilet, okay,
yeah.
And it'll help to do that, okay.
Yeah, there's instructions on the bottle. It says to use about a fifth of a bottle, which seems to me about half a cup or something worth.
I usually just
in there
cover it so the seal is covered. Or should I use more than that? I usually just cover the seal. Okay.
I read the instructions on the bottle because I hadn't used it for a while. Apparently I used it once before, and I got a new bottle because I didn't know about it either until a while back. And so I used this the second time I did it. It's like I got to get some of that stuff in and make it work for my dump valves, because the toilet flap seal for me is still okay, but the dump valve is getting a little bit tight. So if that doesn't help, you can always put some silicone lube and stuff like that, I guess, on it and make it slide a little easier. But
so right along with that would be the black tank. What do you recommend for the black tank?
That is for the black tank.
No, but I mean for cleaning the black tank, because our sensors always clog.
Yeah, for the sensors. To clean the sensors, usually
the sensors are on the inside of the tank, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's it depends on, I think, on which year. I think they've changed them a little bit. Some are the surface ones, and some are pushed in.
Okay.
So it depends on which ones. But either way, the side walls of the tank get stuff on them.
Yeah, I forgot what that stuff is called.
Sludge,
for
lack of a better word.
They have a technical name for it.
Yeah, probably. But anyways, I mean, when you put stuff in the tank, you put toilet paper down, it dries it or
you don't
whatever.
Do that.
Yeah, I don't either.
More and more
some
people are stopping that. Yeah.
But anything that goes down and stuff like that, it's liable to stick to the sides if it doesn't get coated with water or sloshed around a little bit, and it dries, and it best sticks there, and that happens over the sensors and stuff like that, as well as other places in the tank. So one of the things, there's several things that people try to do. Sometimes people try ice cubes and stuff like that. Put a bag of ice cubes and drive
ice
around.
Floats.
But
ice floats. So it's
right.
like, what good is that?
So unless you put enough in there and put some water in there to some degree to slosh it around, you really don't know what's going on.
So we use that hose that goes in.
Yeah, there's a wand that you can go in, and there's some that have a little thing that rotates around. Some don't. It doesn't matter which one you have. The best way is one of those wands that go directly down the toilet, the toilet flap, I guess, or whatever, the hole in the toilet. Stick it down there in the tank and move it around, flush it around, and it has a little jet sprays and stuff in all directions, and it seems to be the best way to get the stuff off, and then just flush it down again normally, and they seem to read happy after that. Do that a couple of times, depending on how long it's been sitting and how dry things have got.
And then, of course, you can get it professionally cleaned, which we did once.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes you can get a discount if you go to like a big rally and they have a service that comes around.
Sure.
And there's at Courtside in the wintertime, there's the RV proctologist who does the clean out. And it's usually about $200, and that does remove that gray film stuff in there.
Yeah, and without doing that, the other thing you can do is back flush it. There are systems like a Flush King or the elbows that you hook onto the dump valve. It's a clear elbow, and you can hook up a hose to that, and it'll shoot a high power stream in there. The issue with that is it's high power stream, and the curves in your tank, that high power stream isn't really going to get directly into the tank. So all you're doing is sending water backwards through the thing up into the tank that way, but it'll flush around. It might create some turbulence in there if you're lucky, and be able, when you stop, to flush that out again. Okay. It's about all you can do for the gray tank. Unfortunately, it's not very accessible.
Okay. So let's move on from plumbing. Oh no, in the plumbing department, how about the fresh tank? How often should you sanitize that?
Sanitizing, if you do not use your rig year-round, probably annually is probably good enough for most people. Otherwise, if it's going to be sitting for a while, you might decide to sanitize it again, depending on what your conditions and stuff are, where you're storing things.
Well, the bed, we could talk about the bed mechanism.
Yeah, that's back to some more lubing and stuff like that. There's other things, definitely more things to lube. Anything that moves needs lube. Question is what type? First thing, never use WD-40. It's not a lube.
No.
So many people want to use WD-40. It's out there. I mean, now WD-40 is also a company. They do have other products. WD-40 has like white lithium grease. They have, I think, dry silicone lube and other products. But straight WD-40, no. For the couch mechanisms and stuff like that, it's a good thing to use the grease, the white lithium grease on those. Anything that moves, you'll see a big corkscrew, like threaded rod, that sort of thing. That the thread doesn't really move, I don't think, but stuff goes around it, so you need to grease that. I just spent some good bit of time lubricating my awning.
Oh.
That moves. You got legs out there. You got 3 points on each leg where it's attached to the van, the joint in the middle of the leg, and where it's attached to the far outrigger of the awning, the box part.
Is that something where you'd use like a tri-flow or a bow shield or something like that?
That's a dry lube again. You don't want to have
so you
dirt
want a dry
and stuff
lube.
like that.
Okay.
Silicone or dry lube for that. Anywhere you don't want dirt to be attracted to, you don't want a wet lube. So you don't want dirt getting caught up in those sorts of mechanisms, so you use a dry or a silicone lube on that. The other thing that was recent that I did as well that you have to do is your antenna. If you have the crank up Winegard antenna, you know, that's again, it's moving. There's a corkscrew in there that you need to, and gears and stuff like that. There's a whole little disassembly thing that you need to do periodically for maintenance wise to keep that cranking smoothly and easily. Otherwise, it's really, really hard to crank up.
And then, of course, the much beloved generator.
Oh, yes.
How often do you recommend that people exercise it?
Exercising it, gasoline, do not skimp on your gasoline generator.
Okay, ours are propane.
Yeah, ours are propane, but there's gasoline generators out there. Do not miss your monthly generator maintenance on those.
For what, 30 minutes or 20 minutes?
An hour, Onan recommends an hour under load.
Wow.
for exercising. Most people get by with about a half an hour or something like that. But the thing is if you're using it, you don't. If you use it as it's supposed to be used for your microwave, for your air conditioner and stuff like that, you really don't need to exercise it. But if you're not using it for those, you do need to exercise it. That's a monthly run for an hour, at least a month. If you can do it, half an hour or something for every 2 weeks or something, twice a month, be better, even better. The thing is for a gasoline engine, you don't want the gasoline to stay in the carburetor and gum it up. That's where all the problems are. Big repair bills. I think they have to drop the generator and clean out the carb, and that's quite expensive. Propane ones are a little bit less fussy, but still need to be done. There are other things in there. We don't have gasoline. We don't have gumming up carburetor and stuff. But we do have issues. We have moving parts in there that need to have heat, moisture driven out of any windings and stuff like that in there. They still need to be exercised.
Okay.
And that's a monthly schedule.
Okay.
The door stays. Some of the newer rigs have, I think they're Hefel. I'm not quite sure how to say that name, but they're door stays. Hefla door seals and door stays, and that seem to loosen up over time. To fix those and to tighten them up again, you need two tools for that. One side is an Allen wrench, the other side is a Torx. I don't know the sizes off the top of my head, but have a small set of each of those as part of your toolbox, required toolbox for to carry. And use those to tighten up those cabinet stays. If you get tired of those or they break and fall apart, people have replaced those with some little small gas struts that do the same sort of thing but different mechanism.
Okay. Well, great. Now we can move on to the area that you
that covers all
that a lot of people need to know more about, which is the Pleasureway owners. I guess it's a group.
It's Pleasureway Owners Group. It's the original group that was formed 30 some years ago, when shortly after Pleasureway was started out building their vans. They started once there's enough owners, I guess, so they decided to start a support group and where people can discuss tips and tricks and everything about how to enjoy their vans, how to take care of them and stuff like that. So it's been going for quite some time. We recently moved over to a new platform, which is groups.io. We moved from Yahoo, which was the original host. Yahoo shut down all the groups and stuff like that. Everybody that was on Yahoo, which was a lot of other groups as well, not just ours, had to move somewhere or lose their group. So we didn't want to lose 30 years worth of valuable information and input from so many owners over that amount of time. So we moved the whole group over to Groups.io, which is a much nicer, much better, much more user-friendly platform. And it's got a lot of nice features, a lot of goodies in there that we can use and to help people. So we've recently moved there the last couple of years, and it's been booming. So many people have joined the group. A lot of people are finding out about us on various ways. They're coming over, and underneath that we have one subgroup so far. We've got the Pleasureway RV Club West club has a subgroup underneath there where we can talk to fellow West Club members that belong to the group. We can conduct club business, and we can communicate with other club members about anything that we want that relates to getting together. We can organize campouts, we can organize get-togethers, we can organize if anybody is in the area and we want to meet up. You know that you're getting audience that's mostly on the West Coast, that's mostly near to you. We have, there's several different areas of the website. It's mostly by email. You do get personal emails, either one at a time as messages come in, or you can subscribe. You have a subscription thing that you can change, and you can get one email a day, or every dozen messages it'll send out just one email where you can read that if you don't want your inbox with a bunch of individual messages. There's files area. We've got a tremendous amount of owner resources for files, and very well organized, easy to find. We've got photo albums, stuff that has been documented for modifications, just what things look like, what people have just what people have done to their rigs, stories that are best told with photos, because you can you can create an album with all the different photos, and you can create a photo story. Each photo can have its own captions and stories behind it. So when you go to the photo album section and you say, oh, I want to see what this photo album is all about, and you push into that, and you can see if the person has created a story with that and explained the photos as they go. That's going to be there with it.
I would imagine that people, if they're on the road and they run into an issue, do they go there looking?
They do.
And then do they sometimes get really fast responses from people?
We have a lot of people that are on there, a lot of experts that are on there that have been there, done that, and had that sort of experience. Because it goes right to your email inbox, the people who are receiving individual messages, they can respond right away. As soon as they see something in their email, if somebody cries out help, we're on it.
Okay.
Anybody that gets those emails instantaneously, you've got almost instant help.
Yeah. This has been a great rally. We have shared so much information with so many people, this is a great reason for others to come to rallies, newbies, oldies, whatever. We just have some really good technical help, and I know you've been riding around helping people with small issues, trying to sleuth things, and that's very much appreciated, because we don't have any real, we don't have any Pleasureway technicians here, but you are, I think you're better than they are. So I appreciate that.
We've got a few people that are experts in various fields, and at these sorts of events, people come to have a good time, to socialize, and talk to their friends that they haven't seen for perhaps maybe another year. But they also come to learn. And this is where they come to find answers, to get some help with things that they've experienced problems with. Or they come to see other ideas. People love to do the open houses and go and see what other goodies and tidbits that they can glean from other owners, because nowhere else can you go and get this many Pleasureway owners in one place. And everybody is so open. Yeah. Everybody is so friendly. Yep. Our doors are open all the time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can come knock on the door. If our door's there, if we're there, we're.
Yep. And I don't think I mentioned we're in Las Vegas, so tonight we're having a magic show.
Yes, we are. It's a great place to have a rally. The weather's been great. Everything has been great.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Barbara Lynn. It's been great.
Thank you for having me.
Your expertise.